something I've been working on for over a decade now, I would say. And in some way, my whole life, it is something I've been focused on, which is how to get better, how to fix these pesky emotions. Ever since I was a kid, I really had a lot of issues with that sort of thing right through my life. Just these very powerful emotions constantly coming up and getting in the way of me functioning in a resourceful way. So I would always look for answers. I just was never able to really accept that this was the way it has to be. And maybe in the last 5 or so years was when the answers really started to come. And there's been a fair few. What I'm about to introduce to you, there are other ones like this, except the ones that are like this, I think, have a couple of different issues with them that I've now tweaked, and that really works for me. So I wanted to introduce you guys to something that I call the freedom inquiries. It's something that works for me out of trying over a decade of really trying to try all the different techniques and all the different types of meditations and inquiries and whatever to try to really get to the bottom of emotions and to release them, which I don't love that word, to see through them or to feel through them. And this for me works. So anyway, the key here to it is to understand that emotions aren't just feelings. They are thoughts as well. It's like they work together to create the experience. A lot of people will just look at their thoughts. A lot of therapies to do with thought, like CBT and tons of different ones where they try to alter your thoughts or try to become mindful of your thoughts. And I did this for years with very little progress, if any. If anything, it made me worse out of frustration of not getting anywhere and trying so hard. What gives thoughts their reality is your emotions. If you look at your stream of thoughts, if you're worrying about something, or if you're if you're stressed, or if you're worrying, or if you're sad, thoughts alone will never bring you into these states. There has to be an underlying emotion, even if you're not fully aware of it. So if you think of just a random thought right now, like let's say a pink elephant, right? It does nothing. There's no emotions there around it. It's just a thought. But if you think of something like to do with your mother or your father, then the thought seems realer. It's as though it has more significance, and it's because it's bringing up stuff in the body that hasn't been processed. For me, the extent thought is beneficial for this purpose is that it can show you where to go in the body. And this is where my idea differs from a lot of others, where they will use the thought and the sensation together. They will think the thoughts, they will look at the thoughts, they will look at the sensation and bring them together, or whatever it is. But for me, the thought part isn't as relevant as the sensation. It's probably not the best way to express that, but the thought is a pointer. If you find a thought that troubles you, like, let's say, I love my father, or I am a bad person, or something like this, and these thoughts feel uncomfortable in some way, this means there's something in the body that hasn't been processed. So this is a pointer. Your thoughts are a pointer. So the way that I do it in the freedom inquiries is that whatever's bothering me in the moment, sometimes it's just an emotion or a sensation in the body. A lot of the time there are thoughts going and going and going. I'll become aware of these thoughts. And then I'll try to identify where I'm feeling them in the body. If it's anxiety, it'll be in the chest usually. If it's sadness or grief or anger, it's the chest or the stomach. There can be shame in the stomach for me. The first thing is to identify where the thoughts are pointing to. So let's say there was a thought like, I didn't do that well, or I did a bad job. That's a shameful thought that is in the stomach for me. I can feel this sort of heaviness, this emptiness in the stomach that it feels uncomfortable, right? So that thought is pointing you to there. And then I go into that sensation and essentially just be with it. I'm not trying to do anything to it except try to experience it in its fullest. Another way you could say that is try to make it as powerful or as big as you can. Just go into it and stay with it. One of the issues that I had doing this for a long time was that I just didn't have patience. It wasn't working for me and I didn't know why. And it was because I was only giving it a couple of minutes maximum. But some of these sensations that I have take 10 or even 20 minutes or more to even start to move and shift. So this is my suggestion, is to do this 20 minutes a day. Set your timer, morning, night, whatever, it doesn't matter. 20 minutes. And just sit there and just breathe until something uncomfortable comes up. Find it in the body and just stay with it. After a while, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it starts to change. For me, sometimes it reduces, sometimes it changes into something else, sometimes it disappears. It will always change eventually. You just have to have patience. These things have been stored there for a long time. And then if you do this enough, you get a real good clarity going. You will feel peaceful. You will feel this space around who you are and a space in the world that's quite pleasant. But at the same time, it will open up new things. Suddenly you'll become more sensitive to your experience. Suddenly new things open up. Sometimes anger leads way to grief. Sometimes grief can give fear, or fear goes to anger. Whatever it is for you, everyone's different. The key is to find the thoughts, connect them to the body, and be with the body. You can also experiment with the thoughts. So, like the example I used before, I didn't do that well enough, or whatever it was. You can play with this. So while you're feeling into it, you can think those thoughts in your head. Say them out aloud if it helps you. For me, I just think them. And sometimes I'll say related thoughts that are similar to it, but they always have a charge. You can keep repeating the thoughts over and over to try to bring it up, make it stronger. But don't rely on thought too much. It's just a pointer. The main thing is to be in these sensations in the body, and to try to be in them as deeply and as completely as possible. And then eventually they do shift. Thanks, guys.